All right, so folks, as you know, Trump was just elected, and people in the United States, Western Europe, are really trying to figure out how that just happened. But what's the effect in Ukraine? And so I was talking to Greg Terry, and what he told me he's been hearing is actually very shocking. And so he's going to be talking about this at greater length tomorrow, and I'll let you talk about that in just a second. But I wanted to hear a little bit right now. So we're just going to go like 10 minutes and just talk about what he's heard and so that you can get a sense of what's actually going on. So, Greg, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Prof. I appreciate it so much. Of course, the election of an American president, America being a very strong nation, of course, brings cause and effect that happens around the world, and it's been a challenging week for some, and that's okay because transition is happening. So my first thoughts actually was not even about my own country. My first thoughts were, okay, what are the Ukrainian soldiers going to be thinking about this? And goodness, I mean, it's unbelievable. I watched the election till about 4 in the morning, and at 7 in the morning, I received a call from Ukraine. It was Zhenya sitting there with a frontline, zero line soldier. And what I expected was not what happened.
Yeah.
And now, over the last 2 or 3 days, I have been getting constant feedback from Ukrainian soldiers on the front lines, many of whom we all support through our avenues here on YouTube and other avenues that are optimistic about the future.
Yeah. And so that's odd because you thought that they were like pulling for Kamala and they were hoping that that was what's going to happen. And they were like, oh no, what if Donald Trump is elected? But that's not what you're hearing. Tell me what you're actually hearing.
Here's what we're hearing. There's so many rumors flying around and conjecture that Donald Trump would just freeze this war, end it, da da da. It's all over. We're going home. We lose everything. Bye. It's just not true.
Mhm.
And people around the world may not understand that because they're not there on the zero line. They're not there within 50 kilometers of the front line. It's one thing to see the devastation like we've seen over the last 24 hours with these
Mhm.
massive attacks on these large cities, but it's another thing to be there. And the Ukrainian soldiers, first and foremost, this is what they all said: you cannot freeze this war. It's not possible to freeze this war with the condition that we are now in. Russia has doubled down. They're rolling in. They are attacking us. It is an offensive. We have enemies of the United States that have been called the axis of evil, physically involved inside of our country. For
Mhm.
example, North Korea, Iran. They are here, and there is no way, as a Ukrainian soldier, that we even expect that it would be possible that we would wake up tomorrow morning, our commander comes to us and says, "Lay down your guns." Not going to happen.
Mhm.
That's their first thing, and it encourages them because I'm just going to be point blank and honest with you. They have not received the supply, not only from the United States, but also European nations, even back to the Czech Shell Initiative.
Mhm.
They have not received the promised supplies from foreign nations at the level that was promised and or expected. So for the Ukrainian soldiers, they are literally taking this as hopefully a turning point, and
Yeah.
what was meant to be maybe our destruction could really turn out to be the motivation for our victory.
Yeah,
So,
so that's really interesting because between not allowing Ukraine to actually strike into Russia, which if it was just because we're waiting for the election's over and nothing's happening because I don't think that that's it. Between that and not actually getting the aid there that they're supposed to be getting there, this actually looks like maybe it has promise. Is that what you're hearing? Like, well,
absolutely,
okay, what do we have to lose?
exactly. The other thing is President Zelensky has made this very clear. Ukrainian soldiers have made this very clear. I have reiterated this as many times as possible. Ukraine will not give up.
Yeah.
Ukraine will not cede their land.
I believe
Ukrainians,
that's the case. And so if they won't, then it would make uh, Trump look terrible if they won't and he doesn't support, right? So that becomes very problematic as well.
well,
But all the media that we've seen during the election cycle was saying things like, well, Trump's just in Putin's pocket and Trump's Putin's lapdog and that sort of thing. I think that was just hyper overblown rhetoric and we have yet to see how Trump's going to act. But so at any rate, back on the ground, what are you
Well,
hearing
it's
from?
like I shared yesterday. It's like I shared yesterday. Dmitry Kuleba, the former foreign minister, said point blank. He says, "Guys, don't listen to the rhetoric. Don't listen to it.
Mhm.
Ukraine is not going to be abandoned." And he was very encouraging to his nation and to others around the world. What we're hearing on the ground is the same thing, and that is, you made a reference there that uh, Trump is in Putin's back pocket. That's what we've heard. Okay, the Ukrainian soldiers, what we're hearing is the exact opposite. They
That's
say,
really
Greg,
interesting.
there is no way that Donald Trump, who is a narcissist, that's their viewpoint,
Sure,
who
yeah,
is a
sure.
narcissist,
Everybody, I mean,
okay,
I'm a
of
Republican
course,
and I believe that.
I'm a Republican and I believe he's a
Yeah,
narcissist. It's a fact. And they say, Greg, we're smiling this morning because there's no way the Trump narcissist person will ever
yeah,
let Putin beat him.
yeah.
And
That's interesting.
they were so adamant that if we give away territory or we begin a ceasefire, we have given in to the Istanbul Agreement, to the Kremlin model of victory. And we believe that not only Donald Trump is not going to be able to handle that in his psyche, but even in this week, the 3 or 4 days leading or after the election, we're already seeing the ramifications. We're hearing about more support from Europe. We're hearing Europe
Yeah.
change their tone. We're hearing UK change their tone.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything is, and it's
Yeah, that's
going,
big. My next
we,
video is actually about to come out, and that's Macron saying we have to step up. We have to take this into our own hands. I just recorded it, and I haven't set it out yet, but that's the very next thing I'm going to release. Yeah, so you see that
I
like Europe
I
stepping
just
up.
released the video. I just released the video. Who's going to blink first, Trump or Putin? And the fact is, neither
That's
one of them are
interesting.
going to blink. Neither one of them is going to blink because I have shared this, and I will continue to share it. Putin is all in.
Yeah.
He is in his early 70s, and he believes he is leaving the legacy of the Soviet Union. Kim Jong Un is all in. There is no follower from him. He's a full dictator.
No.
Iran is all in, and there is no way. And the Ukrainian soldiers are all in. And
Yeah.
you and I and other supporters and other countries around the world, we're all in. I just don't see it. And more importantly than me, the Ukrainian soldiers don't see it. They are optimistic today. I'm
Hmm.
talking to them nonstop from Sumy all the way down. I mean, I'm talking to a guy that's inside Karakova, one of the hottest battle zones
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the entire front. He says, man, this was encouraging for us.
It's like
The truth.
who would have thought that that would be the case? Because everything that you heard was it's all over if Trump wins the election. And in fact, now there's an interesting confluence here where there have been YouTubers, YouTube subscribers that have just left in spades. I was talking about that yesterday because they're so disheartened, can't take any more bad news. And yet Ukrainians aren't experiencing it quite the same way as they are. And so maybe it's the sources that they're listening to or what they're
I I have chosen to put my trust in Vladimir Zelensky and what he says.
Mhm.
And I may not agree with everything that President Zelensky does. I am literally a card carrying Ukrainian resident. Of course, I'm an American citizen, but I've been given Ukrainian residency due to my working there inside Ukraine. I'm very honored to carry that card, have a Ukrainian passport, all of the things and the rights and privileges that go with it. It's a blessing for me.
Mhm.
I choose to trust in President Zelensky's words. Why? Because he's been there. He hasn't abandoned. He had the opportunity. He could have left. He's fighting a multi front war, not only against a massive evil war machine that is now reinvigorated with North Koreans and their supply and
Yeah.
money flowing, but he's there. He has no benefit to surrender to anything. He has
Yeah.
no
No, he
benefit to
he
not
can't
tell
surrender.
truth.
Putin can't give up. Trump can't do it for his ego. I like it's a really interesting thing. Okay, so any
So,
one
but I,
last
I, I do I know we want to go quickly. I want to say one thing. I understand why People, kind of wanted to turn this off, leave in droves, became hopeless. But as we stand here and continue to tell the truth and to share it, I believe not only are those that left going to come back and
Yeah.
support even stronger, I believe a stronger coalition of common folk like you and I around the world doing our part. I expect the tsunami and the tidal wave of support to come even stronger as the world is surprised. Surprised to hear Macron saying, let's build an army.
Yeah.
Surprised to
Yeah.
to hear UK. No, we're still supporting you 100%. Go get it. And I'm optimistic, man. We're gonna win this war.
Well, that's good because we need some optimism right now. Tell us when you're going to be on tomorrow night doing your full version of this.
I'm going to do a deep dive on this and share right down to the actual quotes. I have them. I jotted down some notes for you, Prof.
Yeah,
But
thanks.
right down to the bottom, right down to the quote itself of what these soldiers have shared with me, and we will be sharing that tomorrow, the 9th. Probably around 8 or 9 Eastern. I'll also give away an autographed battle flag there, right from the zero line. In fact, some of the soldiers I'm talking to signed this flag. So we want to keep the narrative not ours, but the narrative, the Ukrainian narrative, where they're able
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get their voice out. And as you use this word all the time, we're able to amplify it. The last thing I would say to this, and this is a statement that Zelensky made, not from the frontline soldiers. He says, it's not logical or human to cease fire and then negotiate. It doesn't work that way in our condition. We are suffering losses daily. And over the last 24 hours,
Yeah, it was brutal.
schools, civilians, men, women, boys and girls, children killed, apartment buildings, homes, medical facilities leveled. And Zelensky's so important we need that understanding. Unless you're in our shoes, it's hard for you to understand. And that's why we're here to do our best to
Mhm.
to amplify that message. So I personally believe everybody inside Ukraine that I'm speaking for, um, they're optimistic.
Wow, that's something. Well, I'm glad to hear that because that's not what the pervasive ethos or spirit is right now, and so it's good to
Prof,
have some good news.
Prof, how often do you and I talk about the evils of Russian propaganda?
Oh yeah, yeah, but
Yeah.
it's this is people that are dispirited that really care that are trying to pay attention that are just demoralized that don't understand
But
what you just understood.
dear friends and folks, don't fall for that. That is Russian propaganda. They want you to be demoralized. They want you to say, well, it's all over. Hope is gone. Hope is lost. The Ukrainians are not saying that. And we are standing with them 100%. And I'm telling you, the best is yet to come. I believe that with all my heart.
All right. On that note, I will see you. We'll be watching tomorrow. And again,
Yes,
it's
sir.
at 10. What do you say? What time?
It'll either be 8 or 9 Eastern Standard Time. It'll be posted with at least 7, 8, 9, 10 hours
Okay.
early.
Go check that out
Yes.
on at GregTerryExperience.com. Thank you, Greg, and we'll see you later.
Thank you, Prof. Have a good day.